When I think of Lord of the Rings games, my mind immediately goes to the Two Towers and Return of the King on the PlayStation 2. As a pre-pubescent boy whose interests in females had not quite yet taken over, some of my fondest memories of that age are of me playing these two games on a chipped PlayStation 2 at a friend's house. I was too cowardly to ask my mother to get my consoles chipped in the fear that the FBI would kick my door down. Sadly, my friend discovered that he was an arsehole, and with that discovery went my ability to play any Lord of the Rings games. That was until one day I came across a second-hand copy of Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. There it was, sitting in the clearance section of a Blockbuster Video, begging me to buy it and play it. Calling me like the One Ring, begging me to claim it for my own. It was a short run home, but in that time, I had flashbacks of how much I loved playing Return of the King. The combat, the awesome combos you could unlock, playing as the actual heroes that I love so much from the movie trilogy. I can't wait to relive that experience. I loaded up the game, watched the start cutscene, and then... wait, who the hell is this guy? Okay, calm down. We are playing as a random warrior from Gondor. I'm sure he has some epic combos he can pull off. Okay, let's fight these ring wraiths and kick some ass, yeah! Wait, what? Why are we just standing there? No, it can't be a turn-based game! Surely they could have written that on the game box. Oh, they did. Now, I am 100% positive that I cannot be the only person that was both incredibly confused and disappointed by these series of unfortunate events. It was like going into the freezer, pulling out the Neapolitan ice cream tub, opening it up only to find the vanilla left. I was a dumb kid, and my experience with turn-based games was limited to Pokemon. Luckily for me, my love for Lord of the Rings forced me at least to give it a go, and I did for about 5 hours before I gave up and begged the Blockbuster to refund me so I could get that copy of Deuce Bigalow Male Gigolo on DVD. Over the years, my love of turn-based games has grown, and now it's a genre that I am excited to play. Each time I've gone back to play The Two Towers and The Return of the King or any other Lord of the Ring game, and I own a lot of Lord of the Rings games, my mind wanders to The Third Age and how I should try to play it and give it another try. So here I am today, almost 20 years later, with a copy of it on my PlayStation 2, and I'm playing it on my backwards compatible PlayStation 3. Before playing, I did have a look at some of the reviews and was surprised to see it scoring anywhere from 6 to 8 out of 10. Just a quick side note that this video does contain spoilers for the movie trilogy, the books, and the game, so there you've been warned. In The Third Age, we play as Berethor, who is a captain in the Citadel Guard of Gondor. We have been ordered by Denethor himself to find Boromir, who was sent to Rivendell in order to become one of the greatest memes ever. There's actually a really cool cutscene of Denethor giving us these orders.
Going to Rivendell to find my son Boromir.
Early on, we meet a few more characters that join our party, and the first third of the game is essentially us trying to catch up to Boromir and the Fellowship of the Ring. I really didn't know what to expect going into this game. Again, it's been almost 20 years since I played it for those 5 hours. I didn't know if our characters would have a huge involvement in the story, or if we would be side characters doing little side missions. It's actually a mix of the two, and it's very strange at times. The story is told with some in-game cutscenes, but the majority of it is actually narrated by Sir Ian McKellen himself, who speaks over scenes of the movie. Not only is it awesome to see Sir Ian reprise his role as Gandalf, but something that really surprised me is the extra bit of lore you get throughout the game. One of the first really cool things we get to do is enter the Mines of Moria through the same doorway that the Fellowship did. We even get to have an intense fight with that random octopus creature. I was very impressed by the recreations of some of the sets of the movie, and it's additions like this that make me have micro-orgasms as a Lord of the Rings fan. We also happen to be inside of Moria at the same time as the Fellowship, and even see where the bucket that Pippin accidentally knocks over lands. It's a bit silly, but it's also a bit delightful at the same time. And then we come across the Balrog, who is fighting Gandalf. Here, I thought we would witness his death from a distance, but nope. For whatever reason, the developers put us side by side with Gandalf the Grey as we fight the Balrog to the death. After its defeat, we are shown a movie clip of Gandalf beating the Balrog and him falling off the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Somehow we are spared and completely fine. We just took a sidestep right before the bridge was destroyed. And what's even stranger is like 2 seconds later, we get another in-game movie clip and Gandalf is like, oh, I'm fine by the way, I didn't die. I'm gonna keep narrating the game. It's really, really silly.
I'm still with you, my friend. I see you enter Lothlorien.
Again, please do not get me wrong. Us fighting the Balrog is awesome, and I loved every minute of it. But how does this make sense at all? It was at this stage that I became very concerned with how the story was going to play out. Were we going to be at the end of the game standing with Frodo as he throws the ring into the fire, trying to gently encourage him? How did they get away with this? If this was a regular game and not a Lord of the Rings game, this title would have been destroyed by reviewers. But even I must admit, I forgave it immediately, because in its own way, it is very cool, and it's Lord of the Rings. You really can't go wrong. Along the way, we pick up more party members as we explore more of Middle-earth, being treated with some familiar sights that fill me up with joy. We fight Wormtongue in Rohan. We battle alongside the elves to protect Helm's Deep. We visit Osgiliath and have an epic encounter with this disgusting looking orc. And we help defend Minas Tirith against Sauron's final all-out attack. Now, after that Balrog incident from before, the story does start to make a little bit more sense. In Helm's Deep, for example, we are fighting alongside Legolas on the walls. We are down with Aragorn defending the gates. It begins to tie in much better with the actual scenes of the movie. It still has its few awkward moments, like when we fight the Witch King alongside Eowyn, for example, but overall, I enjoy the fact that we are treated as side characters in this epic journey. Okay, I have to slow down, I have to calm down for a second, because what I'm going to tell you left me so speechless when it was happening, and if you've played the game, you'll probably know what I'm about to say. After we save Minas Tirith from attack, Aragorn suggests we march upon the Black Gate. And in the blink of an eye, we go from outside Minas Tirith to standing at the Eye of Sauron. No cutscene of us fighting our way up to the tower, nothing. Just us there, hitting a giant flaming ball of fire with a sword. Then we defeat the Eye, Frodo destroys the ring, and as you know, the tower collapses and blows up, and the game ends. No explanation of if we were on top when the tower fell, or what happens to us after we help save the world. The game just ends. What the hell were they thinking? 30 hours of gameplay just for it to end like this? Again, the fight with Sauron is pretty cool, but my eyes were physically bleeding watching this happen. Now, we all know the main story of Lord of the Rings, but the story of Berethor is something new that we get to discover. So Berethor is essentially corrupted by Saruman, and has been sent to stop Boromir from taking the ring from Frodo. I guess Sauron's thought process is that Boromir will take the ring from Frodo and take it to Minas Tirith, making it harder for Sauron to capture the ring instead of just taking it from a little hobbit. It's a cool plot, and even though the way they told it wasn't the best, I still think that it's an interesting development that unfolds during the story. Something that makes The Lord of the Rings so amazing and gripping is the characters we get to follow. But in the Third Age, we essentially learn very little about anyone other than Berethor. It's a bit of a waste actually, it gives us little reason to actually care about the characters we're playing as. It's as if they put zero thought into it at all, and I'm not even going to mention the super weird and awkward love story that makes zero sense at all.
Since you now prize the cause of these people over the elves, because of one pretty face.
Even though most of it is enjoyable because, again, it's Lord of the Rings related, the story itself fails to meet expectations. Anyone that's played this game but hasn't seen the movies or read the books would be incredibly confused and have no idea what's going on. As mentioned before, the story takes you throughout some of the most iconic scenes we see in the movies. However, for the most part, the level design is incredibly bland. Other than chests and side missions, there is really nothing to interact with or do. The Mines of Moria and Helm's Deep are the exception because you get to actually explore them a little. The recreations of the characters we know and love is well done. No one looks too odd or janky, and the incredible music from the trilogy elevates the whole experience to another level. Now again, the reason I didn't play this game as a kid was because of the turn-based mechanics, but that's really the saving grace of this game. The before mentioned party of heroes stand side by side and fight against about 16 different enemies throughout the game. Each hero can use certain abilities that are tied to their weapon or type of power they have. The elf character uses her sword but can also cast magical spells like heal or revive. Berethor does stronger sword attacks but can also use his experience as a soldier of Gondor to influence his team to be stronger, like resisting certain effects or making everyone harder to hit. The dwarf uses his mighty axe to deal huge points of damage to his foes, and he can also cast spells? What the hell? The ranger, an experienced archer, can use his special arrows to paralyze enemies. And he can also equip spells, okay? It's actually a very easy game to learn. Combining the heroes' abilities together to perform stronger combos was super satisfying. And being able to switch out characters without being punished for the swap was an added bonus that allowed you to change your strategy on the fly. I was actually surprised that after about 20 hours or so of playing, I still wasn't bored of the combat. And that's because of the amount of awesome loot you continue to receive. The third age is split into thirds. 1/3 is story, 1/3 is combat, and the other third is the time you will spend in the game menus. Your characters level every 2 or 3 fights, and scattered around each level are a series of chests that have a plethora of different weapons and gear. Who is leaving these random powerful weapons and rings in chests just unlocked for people to steal? I'm not joking at all. We are constantly changing weapons, armor, updating your stats, and checking on when your next abilities unlock. And it's super fun. I loved comparing all the new weapons to see which was stronger or had better stats and bonuses. Equipment also had a huge impact on each character. Suddenly a character that was weak now excelled in combat because their new weapon was twice as strong. Don't even worry about encumbrance because we can carry 20 different weapons and suit of armor each. Not to mention the hundreds of items we have in our pockets. Now, I've only played through this game once and I'll probably never play it again, and I played on medium difficulty, but there's actually replayability if you want to play on the harder difficulty to really test yourself. You will probably have to pay attention to the stats you are leveling, whereas I just tried to have everything an even number as to not trigger my ADHD. Also, the armor you equip changes your appearance. It's little touches like this which fills my heart with joy. There is also an evil mode which was a fun little add-on. You get to play as the evil characters and kill the very heroes you are playing as. Doing so unlocks more gear for your main game, and most of the time they are an upgrade. Overall, this game is good, but that's only because I love Lord of the Rings. If I wasn't such a fan, I would think this game is way more outdated than it actually is. The combat, while slow and repetitive at times, feels like it's always changing because of the new items and levels you are constantly getting. Some of the story feels real, and as if we were real characters fighting alongside the Fellowship, and other moments are very forced or completely skipped over, causing super important sections of the game not to make any sense. If you had access to like a PlayStation 2 or a GameCube or an Xbox and it was already plugged in, sure, I would recommend buying this game to play it. But if you had to buy the console and the game, just don't even bother. Seriously, it's too much effort. Just get it on a torrent. Seriously, please torrent it. Alright, thank you very, very much for watching. Again, please go easy on me in the comments. I know a lot of you watching this probably really love the game. I like it, and I'm gonna hold it in my collection forever. I probably will play it again on a harder difficulty in the future. Yeah, maybe if they do a remaster. They won't, but if they did, I would watch it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, see ya.